as well. Back with me, Noelle, Nikpour. We also have Rebecca Walser, Nathan Rubin, and John Bussey. John, what do you think?
It will certainly be a good talking point, but this was also a talking point in the 2016 election for President Trump, because this was discussed as an intent. Will this kind of positive make up for all of the problems that the president has with women voters? We saw that in 2018, suburban Republican women voters leaving the party, voting Democratic, turning Orange County blue. Is it going to sort of deal with that headwind? Probably not. That seems to be based on a lot of other political considerations, but this is a positive for both parties.
You know, Rebecca, if you think about it, healthcare turned out, and Nathan has reminded me of this in the midterms, to be a much bigger issue than Republicans thought, and was a crucial factor in the Democrats tipping it. How about this go round?
I think that, this is not usually a Republican position. This is a President Trump position. If you look at a Democratic congresswoman like Carolyn, I forget her last, Maloney, she's been basically fighting for this for 20 years, because she's basically said when she had her first child, she said, what's your leave policy? She said, we expect you to leave. There was no such policy. This is 2.1 million federal workers. This is the largest employer in the United States. It's actually quite sweeping position change for Republicans. And I think that the difference here...
So this is going to happen.
It's going to happen. The Senate is on board. It's going to happen next week, and it is inside the National Defense Authorization Act, so it's not something that's going to be extricated out. It's going to actually pass.
Now, obviously, Nathan, Democrats want to make this a policy, nationwide for private, public workers. Your thoughts?
Well, I think this is definitely a step in the right direction, but we are still lagging behind the rest of the world when it comes to paid family leave. This is something, like Rebecca mentioned, that Congresswoman Maloney has been fighting for a long time. Is it a step in the right direction? Yes, but it does cover only 2 million people. And something that I think is President Trump is trying very interestingly to do is he will slam Democrats as the do-nothing Democrats, but here they are, the House of Representatives are passing this bill along with the defense reauthorization and 400 other bills on behalf of the American people that are just sitting and waiting for Mitch McConnell to pick it up. So here, I don't know how you can square that circle where you have do-nothing Democrats, but then look at all these legislative accomplishments that I have. That has to come in on a bipartisan basis, and we're seeing it happen.
All right, we could argue, Noelle, that the president will pick and choose the issues that are popular and where he has scored gains, prison reform, that sort of thing, and this.
I actually think the timing is great for President Trump and the Republican Party, because I think that this typically is something that this legislation is typically something you'd see on the left being pushed through.
And by the way, something that Bernie Sanders has been leading a charge, and you're looking live right now. He is speaking to an audience in Pittsburgh. A lot of the candidates are in Pennsylvania today, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. But I think that going forward, you were talking about, this is a step in the right direction. Going forward, as a Republican, a fiscal conservative, I'd like to know how it's going to be paid for, because that's a lot of money that while it's thoughtful legislation, it's going to pass, it's going to be great. I think it's great for Republicans, especially dealing with a sector that we're trying to recapture, which is the woman vote. I think that this is playing right into that hands good. But going forward, if we want to expand it, which I think is great, I'd like to just know how are we going to pay for it as a Republican.
You're looking at this such a small, it's $5 billion out of a $787 billion defense reauthorization, and you're saying, how are we going to pay for this? How are we going to pay for the other $782 billion?
I'm not upset about it. I'm just wondering, how are we going to pay for it? No, I'm not mad. I'm not.
So polling and deficits and debt, sadly, are not resonating as an issue.
No,
not yet. Not yet. And one wonders why. It's not resonating with the Republican Party. Mick Mulvaney, a Tea Party guy, is kind of wondering the same thing. We were interviewing him earlier this week. He's saying it just does not seem to be getting traction. At some point it will, and at some point the nation will turn to it. Will it be at a moment of crisis because we suddenly find that we're having to pay higher interest rates on that debt? We'll have to see. But for the moment, it's spend, Democrats and Republicans.
Where are the hawks? I mean, we're organizations like the Club for Growth, which, got their start. Steve Moore founded that, and then Pat Toomey took it over, and they pride themselves on, reducing deficit.
Only when there are Democratic presidents do we worry about deficits.
Here's what they do, Neil. Here's what they do.
Well, I heard Democrats lecturing this party.
Same thing in Britain, right? The Tories are spending.
That's right.
Absolutely.
I wish the Democrats could be happy for just one time and say, actually, we got something done. It is bipartisan.
I said it was a step in the right
every
direction.
interview I've seen by every Democrat is, yes, this is good, but it's not far enough. We don't have the private sector in it. Let me tell you something. There are countries that offer paid women leave for 59 weeks. You know what happens to that employer that's forced to do that? They don't hire women, because this is the natural reaction of the market. If you're going to tell them you have to do this,
12 weeks for
just
the
federal
father,
employees.
right?
Yes, it is parental leave. That's right. But I'm just saying, I love Nathan's point that this doesn't go far enough. We have to go to the private sector now. But just remember, when you tell the private sector what they have to do, there's an equal and opposite reaction, and they just say, okay, we're not going to do that.
The Democrat Party, if you're looking at any type of just smidgen of praise for President Trump, they're going to crucify you. So you really can't.
It's not like we can't even say yes, it was good, but it's immediately it doesn't go far enough. Let's
have to add but.
Have one happy moment between the two of us. All of us get along. Kumbaya.
I think it started with Bussey. I think he just.
That's right.
Right. We're going to take a break. Guys, thank you very, very much. In the meantime, forget parental leave, forget impeachment. I want you to meet a cattle rancher.